what we find today is that most company executive project managers don't really have a single place to discover and organize all your information. So in addition to not getting that overall context, often you're scrambling in and out of different file drives, launching different websites. So really what we're trying to do is create a universal context that helps you integrate all those data sources. Another problem that we find is that current user interfaces are simply too linear for expressing thoughts. So what tends to happen when you're dealing with large volumes of information, or even more non-linear project plans, which most businesses typically are, you're trapped in the file folder directory, which can not really represent what type of connections that exist in your mind. So really what we want to do is capture those connections. So I'm going to go ahead and open my brain, and really what today's seminar is about is becoming hyper aware of those business drivers and variables of success that will help you get to where you need to go. So often we're moving minute by minute with our projects that stopping to get a broader picture on what we're doing can be a luxury. And at the same time, not having that broader context on your business can have dire consequences. You could choose the wrong supplier and blow out your marketing budget, put together the wrong team and not do as well as you would if you would have aggregated those experts. If you don't respond too quickly to future trends and demands, your competition could lead you in the dust. So these are all the types of things that you can get started and visualize in your brain. So I'm just going to start off with a couple basic examples, show you how to get started, and then show you where you can possibly go with the personal brain. And for those of you that are new to personal brain, pieces of information in the brain are what we call thoughts. And a thought can represent any type of digital information. Clicking on any thought triggers all related pieces of information. So I've just clicked on operations, and when I click on that below, I have what we call child thoughts or categories below operation that appear. And anything that is a parent of operations in my business, other departments, appears to the right. And then we can have lateral connections as well. So in this case, Harold is the executive that's in charge of operations. So I have him connected. So it's very easy to create and reflect these networks of connections. And the reason you want to do that is because you can get that overall context. So in addition to launching a website of maybe an attorney that you use for legal, you can see how they relate to other projects that you have. You can also connect documents. So if I want to launch a document that's a contract, or I need to use a consultant, I can just go ahead and launch that Word document and get to that information really quickly. But beyond having access to that information, one of the great things about it is I get that overall context in the brain. This contract for a particular client was in legal, but I can also see that it's connected to that very client that we need to service, and this client is one of my best projects. They're in telecommunication, they're in manufacturing with links to others, and all kinds of things. So by having this overarching context, I can shift my focus very quickly and move into different information views. So what I'm going to do is just start off with a couple different examples of how you can use the brain. And the first project that I'm going to talk about is brainstorming. So starting from the ground up on how you can just create a new brain to start a business or expand your business. So I'm going to call this brain my company expansion. And with that, there's a couple of approaches you can take to starting with your brain. You can create a brain on a particular topic. So in this case, I'm actually creating a brain on company expansion. Or you can actually create a brain that maps out your departments and your business processes. So let's say I already have a company and I'm really charged with taking our company to the next level. So what I'm going to do is start creating some key thoughts as to how I could possibly do that. So one of the things I might need to do is hire more sales reps. So I'll add that in as a thought. And I could also think about leveraging existing customer accounts. And you can see what I'm doing here is I'm just in more of a free-flowing method, just getting out some of my ideas into a conceptual space that will help me think and aggregate things to do. We could also do more print advertising. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. And now you can see I use the semicolon to create multiple thoughts. I can continue to build this if I want. So if I want to, let's say, add a new product offering, I can go ahead and create that thought as well. And if I want to get to know my customers a little better and do more customer research, I can go ahead and do that. So these might be the key areas or the key sections in my company expansion. Then from there, I can continue to build this and add more information. So I can drag and drop any document from my desktop or create new information right in the brain. So what I'm going to do here is just go into a folder on marketing projects, and I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop this PDF on consumer research into my brain. And what you can see is that creates a shortcut to where that file is living on my hard drive. Now I do have the option of storing this file internally in the brain. So right now if I activate this thought, I can see that that's a shortcut. And if I look at my Properties and Attachments tab, it'll actually show me the location. I'll just play with this a bit so you can see where that's stored. Now I might go ahead and move this file internal to the brain so that it's stored there, or I can just keep that as a shortcut. The other thing that I can do is create information right in my brain. So let's say I want to create a white paper on how we're going to approach customer research in my company. I'm going to go ahead and just right-click on this thought and select to add an attachment. And I'm going to go ahead and add a Microsoft Office Word document. And the brain will know all the programs and files you have. And so I can launch that. You'll notice that it actually has called the file the name of the thought. And so I can start typing whatever I want about customer research. And I'm just going to go ahead and save that and close it. And that is now saved. And I'll just close this other contract that I've got open right here in my brain. So it's pretty easy to integrate existing information. The other thing that I can do is, of course, integrate my web data. Now, web data can be any URL, so that can include intranet links that you might have scattered throughout your company, or just going out to the web to get new information. So I'm going to go ahead and do a search on customer research, and go ahead and get some information, maybe learn about different analyst sites and how to perform that. So I've found one particular site that looks interesting to me. So what I'm going to do is simply drag and drop from my browser address window into the brain. Now if I wanted to attach this to a thought, my company expansion, customer research, I could simply drag it on that thought. In this case I want to create a new thought specifically for this company. So I've done that. And the company is called Inc., Customer Research Inc. And now I've got a live connection. And from there, I can continue to build. So if I want to read a little bit more or add another site about how to research my customers effectively, I can go and do that. And again, just using drag and drop, I'll go ahead and activate my customer research thought and link this second thought under there. And that's how easy it is to build. But let's say I want to now change things a bit. I can do that just as well. So now my company expansion area is actually going to fit under business development. And business development really belongs under, I'm just going to call this Company Excellent. So now Company Excellent is focused on business development, and I've got my thinking on company expansion. But beyond that, and just in terms of mapping out your business, you can also take a department approach. So I focused on business example, and that's where I've started there, but that's not where this brain needs to end. If I want to then, for this company, have a section on engineering, I can do that. I probably also want a section on marketing and another section on operations. So now what I'm doing is I'm creating another layer of categorization for this company. Probably now under operations, I'll go ahead and create a thought for human resources, accounting, staff, and legal. And this is an area that can also grow under marketing. I'm going to go ahead and create a thought for public relations, advertising, and planning. So what I'm doing is I'm just building the concepts, and what you'll find as you start to do this is one piece of information often will fit under multiple categories. So all that consumer research really belongs under my marketing planning thought. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and just start typing in the first couple letters and customer research. So what I'm doing now is I'm integrating all that information on customer research. And so now I have this information that I've just added not only under my company expansion, but under my marketing planning thought. Or if I decide, you know, I actually want this right under marketing, forget planning. Customer research is sort of paramount to good marketing. So I'm going to go ahead and forget this thought and get rid of that. You know, I can go ahead and do that. And I can also go ahead and connect people. Let's say I want to put Jill in charge of my marketing. Let me go ahead and add Jill in, and Jill is also part of staff. So what you'll see is that rarely one piece of information fits neatly into a particular folder. So now when I'm looking at my staff, and you know, of course I can go ahead and add more people, you know, very easily. I can connect these people to the correct department or to their expertise. If I want Bill to lead in my company expansion, I'm just going to go ahead and make a connection there. So that's one way to do it. The other thing that I can do is drag and drop. I can drag and drop contacts from LinkedIn, Facebook. In Brain EKP, we can dynamically visualize relational databases. We can also drag and drop Outlook contacts to create staff lists. So I'll just go ahead and open my Outlook. And I will warn you, sometimes the web meeting doesn't agree with Outlook, so hopefully this will work. But I really want to show you, since we're doing contacts here, how easy it is to integrate contacts. I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop Brigitte under staff and make a connection. So what you can see here is I've just dragged Brigitte's contact information, and this actually creates a live link to her contact information in Outlook. So if she updates her phone number, her extension, her email address, you know, I get that right in my brain. And if I wanted to select multiple contacts and go ahead and drag those all in at once, let me just go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to hold down the Control key, and I'm going to unselect Brigitte and do this again. So I've got Dale, Diana, and Matt. And now again, I'm going to drag and drop those. Let me just minimize Outlook so you can see that I've done that. So you can do this all at once. And the great thing about that is if Dale is also in charge of business development, or if I want to make a connection, you know, I've got that. So now I've got Dale under business development, and this is an area where I might want to go ahead and add, you know, my competitors or competition, my partners. and this continues to grow. And what your brain can look like over time is a complete mapping. So let me just dive back in to a more developed brain so you can see how these many-to-many connections come into play. So let me go ahead and switch back to the My Brain example. And here you can see customers, all kinds of documents. You can organize clients under many different dimensions. The brain is a great tool for client management because often one particular customer or project doesn't fit in one particular vertical industry, one service type. So with the brain, you can make these many-to-many connections. So just as an example, I can browse through my clients by industry, so mappings of all the different industries. I can browse through clients by service type. And this is fantastic for project managers. So what's paramount to my day is understanding how to do effective brand building, for instance, with the new client, I can go ahead and get to that information, find that really quick. On the other hand, if it's more important for me to know how to work with maybe nonprofit organizations, I can activate my nonprofit thought and get to the information that way. Because what we can do in personal brain is map out and capture these real-world relationships. Now just a couple other things before I move on to another example. You'll notice at the top of my screen I have some static links. Those are what we call pins. And pins are sort of like your dashboard, your key thinking, your key drivers for the day, for the week. I use pins very heavily in my own brain. And the way to do that, let's say I'm focusing on application consolidation. This is another great use of the product. We have a lot of companies that use personal brain when they're growing by merger or acquisition or consolidating. So what a lot of IT managers do is map out all their applications so they can identify redundancies and see what user communities are affected by any changes. So I've got a pin to that. So if I am maybe focusing on this application, this remedy application, I'm just going to right-click and create a pin. So that way, as I'm sort of meandering around in other areas on my team and what they're doing, I can always get back to that application simply by clicking on the pin. And the pin also serves as sort of a visual reminder of sort of what my priorities might be for the day. Other ways to sort of move around and get to information really quickly is with the search. Just as easily as I'm in my IT section, one of the nice things about the brain is each thought in your brain is automatically indexed when you open that brain. So it's literally instantaneous to move from one idea to the next. So what I can do now is if I want to just start typing in marketing, maybe I'm interested in marketing technologies, I need to make sure I make the best purchases for my company. I've activated that thought, and here I've got all vendors that I might be working on to make decisions on. And again, this will save me money and reassure me that I've made the best possible decisions using the brain.